all the grace, all the compassion and kindness and everything that we do to make our relationships work, it's actually okay for us to go back and give that same amount with the same intensity to ourselves because we actually need it.
All right, welcome back to the Spero Means Hope podcast, where we take storytelling to a whole new level by sharing amazing patient stories, interview experts in the community, and share resources for clinicians and students. So today we have with us Cheyenne. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. Happy Friday.
Yes, the weekend is near.
Yes, yes. And so, Cheyenne, thanks for joining us. Can you start by telling us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, what do you do for a living, and what do you do for fun?
Well, I have been in Austin for a very long time, so I consider this place home. I actually lost my job in October. I got laid off for they said economy reasons. And so now what I do basically full time is I have kind of just taken on my own schedule. I drive for Lyft and enjoy meeting new people, but one of my main things is I am Miss Wheelchair Texas. And so
Yes, congratulations.
thank you. I'm really involved in that, and that includes like a lot of travel, a lot of meeting new people. And then on top of that, I'm actually in my master's for counseling. So,
Nice.
yeah, got a lot going on.
Yes, that's awesome. Can you talk a little bit about like Miss Wheelchair? Like, how did you decide to apply? Like, what was your reasoning behind it, and how has your experience been so far?
So it's kind of a crazy story. So talking about what we like to do for fun, I one of those things I like to do for fun besides being with the people I love is I like to play wheelchair basketball. And so I had a friend that had posted on Facebook that is really involved in wheelchair basketball about the program and that they were having a competition to crown the new Miss Wheelchair Texas. And, I had just, that was a part of, I just lost my job. And so I was like, why not? I'll give it a shot. And lo and behold, I won it. And it's been an amazing experience. I've met a lot of great people and just, it's really cool to just give hope to people and just kind of be in an element where I feel like I thrive.
Oh my goodness, that's so awesome. Did you in like during the competition, did you have any inkling like you're going to win, or did it like catch you off guard?
No, I kind of like I was nervous at first. But so when I was younger, I competed in pageants and I made it all the way to the Little Miss America, and so I kind of knew like kind of had a feel for what was coming. But at like when I got up to give my speech, I just kind of knew I'm like, okay, this is for me. Like this is in the bag, and not in a prideful way, but just kind of this piece of knowing like, okay, this
Oh,
is where God has brought me, and I'm ready to like step into it.
I love that so much. Congratulations again.
Thank
And
you.
how long have you been playing wheelchair basketball?
Not very long. So I actually got introduced to it not last August, but the August before, and I started playing. And then about a month after got into it, I found out that I needed a total hip replacement, and so
Ooh,
I just jumped back into it not too long ago.
okay. And how's your hip doing now?
Oh, it's great. It's great. We're good. We're almost back to normal life. No more pain, so that's pretty awesome.
I love that. Cheyenne, can you go back into kind of like what first brought you to physical therapy, like whatever you feel comfortable sharing about your condition?
Of course. So it's funny because I actually have a cerebral palsy, but that is not what brought me to therapy. It was I I know it should have been what brought me to physical therapy, but I started having I started coming to Spero in Austin, not this last August, but the August before. Um, because I was having a lot of pain in my leg that just wouldn't go away. And come to find out, it was my hip. But the surgeon wanted me to go to therapy for a couple months to see if it would help, and then move forward with surgery. But that's kind of what pushed me into it, which I needed to go for my CP anyway. I was just a little bit stubborn. I'm like, oh, I don't need therapy. But honestly, like now that it's become such a part of my schedule, like I go 3 times a week, and over the past year and a half, like I've seen so much change in my body and my strength. And I'm like, I look back and I'm like, why was I being so stubborn? Like, this is great, you know? And I made so many friends, like all the people that I work with, like I'm friends with, and it's just great. I'm like, I look forward to it every week.
Oh, that makes my heart happy. I think like as a PT, it's always so fun to see the experience of someone starting physical therapy for the first time
Uh-huh.
because it's like from my point of view, I think it's fun, but like,
Yeah.
from another point of view, it's like, this is torture. And so it makes me happy that like you made friends and that you ended
Yeah.
up enjoying it.
Yeah, I love it because I work with Koi, and she'll get you into shape. There's like no sugarcoating it. She's just like, let's go. And then I work with another therapist named Shelly. I don't know if you know her, but
Aw.
she,
I've I haven't seen her face to face, but I've heard so many great things about
oh,
her.
she's super sweet, super. It's funny because they're like opposites of Koi is like to the grind, and then Shelly will come in, and I'll be like, I'm in pain, and she's like, okay, let's stretch and massage, and you'll be fine. And I'm like, thanks.
Oh, I love that. I love that balance. Oh
So
my
it's
goodness.
great.
I know CP looks very different for a lot of people. So for those who are not like familiar with cerebral palsy, can you talk a little bit about like what mobility looks like for you? So are you like primary wheelchair user or do you also ambulate?
I am a wheelchair user. A lot of my life, because the way that I was raised, I was taught to be super independent and to kind of not look at the fact that I had a disability. And so, which can be both good and bad in my opinion. Like it taught me to be very independent and to figure out how to do things, but it also like taught me how to ignore that part of myself that should have never been ignored. Um, and so for me, like I spent a lot of my life on like crutches and stuff like that, but that's actually what hurt my body to begin with. And so I've I've learned that it's okay to like have a wheelchair and to use it, and because it's a lot. I think combined with the physical therapy, it's easier on my body because I get tired a lot. And so I mainly use my wheelchair, but there are some times at home where I'm like, okay, I need to stretch and need to do these things. And so I get up and kind of move around. And so, but for me, I've never really let it define me because I had no other choice. And so, like, I grew up rodeoing and riding horses and just doing everything like everyone else. And if I couldn't do it like them, then I just figured out a way. And so yeah, I kind of have that balance between kind of walking the line of like I have a disability and I know what comes with it, but I've also learned so much how to live a normal life and not let anything get in my way. And so it's been a healthy mix of both.
Oh, I like that so much. And I like that you use the term like healthy mix. Like I really like that. What would you say like has been like some of the biggest obstacles that you've faced?
Regarding my disability physically or just in general?
Let's do in general.
I would say something that I've like come a long way in and that I'm learning is I think when you grow up and you have a disability, it's hard to know that you are loved and that you are cherished and that you have a seat at the table. And so I think that's probably been my biggest journey. And the biggest thing I've had to overcome is to rewire my brain to know that, I'm loved, I'm wanted. Life is hard when you have a disability. Life's hard for anyone, but it's especially hard because you're different. You're not different, but you are. And it takes special people to really see you and understand you and hear you. And like I've overcome a lot of trauma in my past and just my upbringing and all of that. And so I think that has been my biggest, longest journey, was just kind of getting to this place that like I'm loved and I'm loved by God and I'm seen and I'm known, and I'm still growing in that. Like I'm still learning. But I think one of the most valuable things that I've learned is that, you know what? We all have a seat at the table. And like, if you want to, bring your own table and chairs. And, the right people will come and they will sit. And if they don't, then okay, great, but I think it's empowering to get to a place where you're like, yes, I'm so worth it. I'm so worthy of being known, of being loved, of being seen, of having a place to go. I'm so worthy of that. And the right people will see that.
Cheyenne, I love that so, so much.
I'm glad.
What do you think has been the either the biggest thing or the biggest, like, most influential person that has helped you kind of like transition that mindset from I have this condition to like I am still worthy and I am still loved?
Um, I think there's two people. So, first of all, Jesus. I couldn't have gotten to that place without Jesus. Takes a lot of relationship, and a lot of time and a lot of love. And just kind of getting into the Bible and, really stepping into that identity. But I actually had the honor of meeting someone that is the connections pastor at the church that I go to. And I met her. I had went on a mission trip to Indonesia in 2019, and I met her there. And then I ended up in 2020. I ended up moving back to Austin to work underneath her as an intern. And through that process of like working for her and having our weekly meetings and just, our relationship that we already had of closeness, she really taught me like, hey, you are loved, you are seen. But and she taught me like how important it was to, because I'm a brain nerd. And so it was like our brain is so moldable and you're able to like rewire it. And so she taught me, through the word and honestly through loving me so gently, of, hey, you can rewire your brain to know that you are loved and that you're welcome and that you are seen. And let me tell you, loving a person gently changes everything. Like just loving them so well can do so much. It's not even someone doing anything like for you, but just loving you well. Like that can change a person's life more than anyone can ever realize, of just loving. I'm like, I can't even begin to tell you of just like someone knowing that they are loved by someone. Like it changes everything.
I love that so much, Cheyenne. Love that so much. What would you say have been some of the biggest milestones you've accomplished?
I would say the biggest milestones would probably be, yeah, I've had a lot of people tell me that I couldn't do something and then I just went and did it. But I would say the biggest thing is just, I've been through a lot of counseling and been on this healing journey, and just the big milestones of being able to look back and say, I was this person, but I'm not anymore. And just knowing that you are healed and that you like are confident in who you are, going back to the thing of knowing that you're loved, like that is the hugest thing, to be able to sit and say, yes, I'm so worthy of that. And like, even the idea of like, I can bring my own table. I have my own table to sit at. And
Yes.
so I think, because I struggled with it for so long, to be able to come on the other side of that and to see like I have everything I need to do what God has put on the inside of me. And so like that has been my biggest milestone, I would say, of just coming into this place of confidence and of trusting God, and just who I am in my own identity. To finally see that and understand that has been so freeing for me. And so I would say like there's so many things that I could say, but I would say that is the most important of just like realizing who I am.
I'm glad you came to that realization. And as you're talking, it's like you seem so grounded in that like truth, and it really shows, and it's like such a joy to listen to, truly.
Thank you.
You're studying like counseling
Yes.
right now. What got you interested in that career field, and like what is your dream job? Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
So it's kind of a long story of what got me into counseling, but I didn't have the best upbringing. I went through a lot of things and just a lot of trauma that I didn't know was trauma until that light clicked on of like, okay, hey, that wasn't normal. And I think like growing up, I felt so misunderstood because I have a really big heart, and so I have a really big capacity to love deeply and love hard those that I like love and I'm attached to, and so like I often felt alone as a child, and so when I had originally went to UT, I wanted to be a neuroscience, like I was in neuroscience and I wanted to be a neurosurgeon actually, but it didn't work out that way. And so I felt kind of lost for a while. But when I started like my healing journey, um, it was like this light bulb of like, oh, I can still help people, because I'm a brain nerd. I love psychology and all of that. And so that kind of pushed me into that of like, I've learned so much on my own journey. And, I've felt alone at times in life. And it's like, hey, I don't want anyone to feel that way. And so that kind of pushed me into wanting to help people, but also wanting to know about the brain, wanting to know about how psychology works and how people develop and, their thought processes and the way that they feel things. And so I think it just all comes down to the relationship of it and of just wanting to be relational with people and to know them. And something that's really passionate that I'm really passionate about is like I want to work with couples and families, but I really want to work with children that have been through a lot of trauma because I get it. And so that's kind of where I want to be in 5 years is my dream is to have my own practice and to kind of do my own thing, but I really, really want to work with children um, that have been through a lot because like I said, I get it and I know and I think we need more people that get it and that understand.
That's so amazing. Like the gift and the passion to want to like harvest what you've learned through your own journey and use that to help someone that has had a journey that's similar to yours is very precious.
I'm super excited.
Oh, I'm excited for you. I love that. Do you have an age range of kiddos that you'd like to work with?
Not really, but I mean, I would work with all of them. I'm really fascinated by like young childhood, just because your brain is developing, and so I think like I'm all about, like gentle parenting and things like that because like just to see a child and how their brain is developing and how it works and how you as like a parent or a sibling or a family member can impact them by just being gentle with them and giving them grace and understanding and just loving them where they are. I think that that alone makes a huge difference in who they're going to be as an adult. And so I would love to work with little kids and even teenagers. I feel like teenagers might be a little bit harder, but they also like it's such an important stage where it's like, yeah, I'll work with them because they need it too. They need all the love that they can get.
Very true. I really like how you go back to like being a brain nerd and just like really loving like neuroscience and psychology. Um, what would you say is something that you think is like often misunderstood in society? And it can be about anything, whether it's about like trauma, healing, physical disability, whatever you think. But what do you think is like something that's often misunderstood?
I would say that behavior. People are quick to judge the behavior of a person, but they don't actually know what that person has been through. And so like if someone chooses to do something that has had a traumatized past, like let's say that they don't have connections with their family, or they've chosen to kind of remove themselves from their family. A lot of people can be like, "Hey, why did you do that?" and not understand, and ultimately go to, well, like, you just need to forgive and move on. But in reality, like, they don't realize like those decisions are very, very hard decisions to make. And it took a long time for them to get to that point. And so I think there can be a lot of grace and compassion of on the way of how someone is behaving, because there's a lot underneath there, that needs to be unpacked, and hurt people, I think, and people that really just, they just need love, and I heard a quote that people are only as needy as their unmet need. If we could just look at people from that perspective, and say, hey, what are you needing? Do you need a hug? Do you need someone to listen? And it's most of the time, like, there is no cost for presence. Like, it's so valuable, and it's like people are not looking for you to fix their problems. They're looking for you to be there, because we were made for connection. We were made for a relationship. And so I think, like, there's a lot that is misunderstood there, of like, people are only actually needing what they don't have, what was unmet within them. And I think if we can look at people from that perspective, our hearts would change, to not think, oh man, they're so needy, or they're a bad person, or they're too much, but to look at it with grace and compassion and be like, oh, they actually need a friend, or they need someone to listen, or just even a hug goes a long way.
Cheyenne, I think that outlook that you have is the kind of outlook that changes the world. Like if we take the time to kind of like step back and dig deeper, like behind someone's action, and understand that maybe there's like an unmet needs that we haven't identified that justify why they're acting this way. I feel like showing that kind of compassion and patience for people is like how we like, I don't know, how we heal wars
Yes.
and like conflicts and all of those things. And I love hearing you talk about those
Yeah,
things.
I these are things that I'm so passionate about. Like, I will talk about anytime, because I'm just like, I wish more people understood.
Yes, I feel the exact same way. I really agree. Do you feel like that's an outlook that you've always had, or like would you say that it like developed through time? And if yes, has it been like any like recent event that has helped you develop that outlook?
Um, so I think, well, not I think, I know that, like, I longed for that as a child. I think I longed to be understood, because I felt so misunderstood, and I felt alone. And so I think it's only grown as I've walked through my own healing journey and been through what I've been through. That thought, that longing has only grown. And so I think I've carried it through adulthood, to where I am now. And I think one of the most influential things for me has been counseling, to kind of get me to that point, to realize, like, um we have all that we need, with with you and with God. He has placed everything on the inside of you that you need. Like, for me, I've had to go back and reparent my inner child. And I used to be honest, I used to look to other people to fill the emptiness within me, and I would be so, like, let down. And it's not their fault. It's just they didn't have the capacity, or even what I needed. Like, in truth, only God does. Only He satisfies, because He created us. And so, I had to, like, shift my mindset of, like, it's not the other person's job or the other person's fault when they can't come through, because what I need is more than what they have to give. And so I think, like, just walking through counseling and being, like, super intentional with that, I've learned that even though I want to be loved, I want to be known, I want to be seen, it doesn't mean that I'm not. It's just that at some point we kind of have to realize, like, hey, God placed inside of you everything that you need to go back and reparent yourself. And, like, all the grace, all the compassion and kindness, and everything that we do to make our relationships work, it's actually okay for us to go back and give that same amount, with the same intensity to ourselves because we actually need it.
I love that, like everything that you were saying and how you kind of like brought it back towards the end to like self compassion. So like giving that to ourselves too,
Yeah,
which is
it's
awesome.
been life changing for me.
Cheyenne, if there was a thank you list and you wanted to give shout outs to anybody you can think of that has been really instrumental in your journey, like who would you want to give a shout out to?
I would say just my community. Like, there's so many people. One thing I'm very passionate about too is like the idea of family, and just how God intended it to be. And they have become my family, and just I've learned so much of just walking through life with them. And also, like, I'd love to get a shout out to Spero Rehab in Austin because I've just made so many friends there, and they've helped me to heal in so many ways, and just see the transformation in my own body, to know that I don't have to be overcome by CP is life changing for me. And just the fact that they, show up to work every day and push me to be my best self, and that they love me where I'm at. I just really, really appreciate that.
That is so sweet. Shout out to Koi and
Yes,
shout out to Shelly. Cheyenne, is there anything that I haven't asked you about that you wanted to mention?
I don't think so.
Thanks for like taking the time to like have this conversation with me and for sharing all of your wisdom. I feel like it's just such a beacon of light, and every like word that you were saying like touched me so much. So like I don't know, I think it's gonna inspire so many people.
Girl, we should do this again.
I agree.
I'm like,
I
I'll be
agree.
I'll be a regular guest. I don't mind.
You come once a week, you know. So how was your week?
We can
I,
just chat it up.
I love that. What is next for you in terms of like Miss Wheelchair Texas? Do you have any upcoming events, and where can people connect with you?
Yeah, so right now I'm still in the process of getting all that set up. Like, I'm supposed to get an email set up and all that. But you can always email me on, my personal email that I have. But I think what's next for me is I am working on trying to get into children's hospitals, just to visit with the kids, and someone who has been through a lot. Like, I want to encourage them that, life may feel like it's over at the moment, but it's not. And, just to keep going. And I think I have a few speaking engagements lined up, which I'm super excited about. I love to be able to encourage people and speak to them and just give hope, because we all need it, especially in today's time. And, um, I'm excited for all the opportunities to come, and I'll eventually be working toward Miss Wheelchair America. So, uh,
Yes.
yeah, start working on that pretty soon, working on like fundraisers and stuff like that. So, there's a lot to come, and I'm just super excited. And I would say that this is like my first opportunity. So this is one for the record books that I'm not gonna forget. You know,
Yay.
so yeah, lots of great things coming. I believe that God's gonna move in a lot of ways and do a lot of things. So I'm just super excited for 2024 and what's to come. And yeah, so it's kind of be gonna be a surprise to all of us, I think, just because I'm new to this and I don't know what to expect. So super hopeful, super grateful, and like I said, God has so much in store.
Aw. Well, I'm definitely excited to see what 2024 takes you, and I wish you the best of luck of on all of your upcoming like speaking engagements and events. And I'm super glad that like I got to do this interview with you, like as like one of the first that you had. So I'm like, yes,
It's
yes.
been such a blessing to me, and I'm just so grateful. And I just want to say thank you for the invite, and I just really, really enjoyed it.
Aw, thank you, Cheyenne.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too.
Bye.